Alright, let's get real for a second. I know you felt it. There's this subtle nudge in your soul, this quiet whisper that keeps finding its way into your mind, no matter how much you try to push it aside. It's like this underlying feeling that you're meant for something bigger, something greater than what you're doing right now. And guess what? It's not just in your head. God has chosen you. The signs are all around you, but the problem is you've been ignoring them. Maybe you think you're not ready, or maybe you're waiting for some grand, unmistakable moment, some Hollywood-style divine revelation where the sky opens up and a booming voice declares your purpose. But that's not how it works. Most of the time, the signs are subtle, almost too easy to miss if you're not paying attention. But they're there, and if you keep ignoring them, you'll miss out on the very purpose you were created for. Now, why would you ignore something so important? Because let's be honest, it's scary. It's terrifying to think that you've been chosen for something bigger. It means stepping out of your comfort zone, letting go of the person you think you are, and embracing the person you're meant to become. And that requires courage. It requires faith. But more than that, it requires awareness. You can't respond to a calling you refuse to acknowledge. So let me ask you, what are you running from? What part of you is afraid to accept that you've been chosen? Because that's the part that's holding you back. The truth is, every single one of us is chosen for something. No one is here by accident. There's a divine plan at work, and each of us plays a critical role in that plan. But here's the catch: God doesn't force you to step into your purpose. It's an invitation, not a command. You have free will. You can choose to ignore the signs, to pretend like they don't exist. You can bury yourself in distractions, work, relationships, social media, anything to keep you from facing the truth. But deep down, you know what's happening. You can feel it. And the more you ignore it, the more restless your soul becomes. That's why you're here, watching this right now. You're not here by accident. Something inside you is stirring, and you're finally getting ready to listen.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
So, let's talk about these signs. What are they? How do you recognize them? Here's the thing, the signs are unique to you. Well, they're not going to look the same as someone else's. But there are some universal patterns that tend to show up. Maybe it's a recurring thought or dream that keeps coming back, no matter how many times you brush it off. Maybe it's a feeling of dissatisfaction with your life, even though on the surface, everything seems fine. Or maybe it's a series of synchronicities, strange coincidences that seem too aligned to be random. You know what I'm talking about. Those moments when everything just clicks, when you feel like the universe is speaking directly to you. That's a sign. But here's the problem. We're conditioned to ignore these signs. We live in a world that values logic and reason over intuition and faith. We're taught to dismiss anything that can't be explained or quantified. So when we experience these divine nudges, we second-guess them. We think, that's just my imagination, or I'm reading too much into this. But you're not. These signs are real, and they're trying to get your attention. The question is, are you willing to listen? Now I know what you're thinking. Why me? Why would God choose me? And that's a fair question. You might feel unworthy. You might think you're not good enough, not spiritual enough, not ready. But here's the thing, God doesn't choose the perfect, He perfects the chosen. You don't have to have it all figured out. But you don't have to be some enlightened being to step into your calling. All you have to do is be willing to trust, willing to follow the signs even when they don't make sense, willing to take the first step even if you don't know where it's leading. So, Let me ask you this. What if everything you've been through, every challenge, every heartbreak, every disappointment was preparing you for this moment? What if the reason you faced so much resistance in your life is because you've been chosen for something greater? I think about it. The people who are chosen often face the most challenges. Why? Because they're being prepared. They're being shaped, refined, and strengthened for their purpose. It's like a diamond. A diamond doesn't start out beautiful and polished. It starts as a lump of coal, and only through intense pressure and heat does it become something precious. You are that diamond. Every hardship you've faced, every obstacle you've overcome has been part of your refinement process. And now you're being called to step into your purpose. But if you keep ignoring the signs, if you keep pretending like you're not ready, you'll never become the person you were meant to be. You'll stay stuck in the same patterns, the same cycles, wondering why your life feels so unfulfilled. And that's not what you were created for. You were created for something much bigger. So, now that we've established that God has chosen you, let's dive deeper into why you keep doubting yourself. Because, let's be real, that's what's really holding you back. You see the signs, you feel the pull, but there's this voice in the back of your mind that keeps whispering you're not ready. You're not good enough. No one will listen to you. And here's the brutal truth. That voice is lying to you. It's trying to keep you small, trying to keep you from stepping into the greatness that's been destined for you. But where does that voice come from? It's your conditioning, it's the limiting beliefs you've picked up over the years from society, from family, from past experiences. Somewhere along the way, you internalized the idea that you're not worthy, that you don't have what it takes to be chosen. And that belief has been running the show ever since. But here's the thing, that belief is false. It's a story you've been telling yourself, and it's time to let that story go. Let me ask you something. Who told you that you weren't worthy? Was it a parent, a teacher, a friend? Or maybe it was an experience of failure, a rejection, a moment of shame that made you believe you weren't enough. Whatever it was, it's time to release it, because it's holding you back. It's keeping you from seeing yourself the way God sees you, worthy, chosen, powerful. Here's the truth, you were chosen for a reason, and that reason is bigger than your fears, bigger than your insecurities. But God doesn't make mistakes. If you've been chosen, it's because you have something unique to offer the world, something that no one else can bring. But if you keep doubting yourself, if you keep listening to that voice that tells you you're not ready, you'll never step into your purpose. So, how do you silence that voice? How do you stop doubting yourself and start trusting that you've been chosen for a reason? It starts with awareness. You need to become aware of the thoughts that are holding you back. You need to catch yourself when you start to spiral into self-doubt and remind yourself of the truth. The truth is, you are enough. You've always been enough. And the fact that you're here, right now listening to this, is proof that you're ready to step into the next level of your life. But awareness isn't enough. You also need to take action. You need to start moving in the direction of your calling, even if you don't feel ready. Because here's the thing, you're never going to feel ready. There's never going to be a moment where you wake up and think, okay, now I'm 100% ready to fulfill my purpose. It doesn't work like that. The readiness comes from taking action. The more you step into your calling, the more confident you'll become. It's like a muscle. The more you exercise it, the stronger it gets. But you have to start. You have to take that first step, even if it's scary, even if you don't know where it's going to lead. Because staying where you are, doubting yourself, is not an option anymore. You've been chosen. But the signs are all around you. And if you keep ignoring them, you're not just letting yourself down, you're letting down the people who are waiting for you to step into your purpose. There are people out there who need what you have to offer. People who are waiting for the message that only you can deliver. But if you don't step up, if you don't take action, they'll never receive it. So let me ask you this: what's the worst that could happen if you stopped doubting yourself and started believing that you've been chosen? What if, instead of listening to that voice that tells you you're not ready, you started listening to the voice of God that's been calling you all along? What if you stopped getting in your own way and allowed yourself to be used for something greater? Here's the reality: you've been chosen whether you feel ready or not. The calling is there. The signs are there. And now it's up to you to stop doubting and start believing. Because the world needs what you have to offer. And if you don't step into your purpose, that gift will go unused. And that, my friend, would be a tragedy. Now, let's talk about something that's probably been lurking in the back of your mind this whole time: the fear of failure. Because let's be real, that's one of the biggest reasons why people ignore the signs. So they're afraid that if they step into their calling, if they follow the signs and believe they've been chosen, they'll fail. And that fear is paralyzing. It keeps you stuck in place, keeps you from taking any action, because as long as you don't try, you can't fail, right? But here's the thing: failure is part of the process. There's no way around it. If you're afraid of failure or missing the point, failure isn't the opposite of success. It's a stepping stone to success. Every person who has ever stepped into their purpose has failed at some point. The difference is they didn't let that failure define them. They saw it for what it was: a lesson, an opportunity to grow, to refine, to get better. And that's exactly what you need to do. Let me ask you this: what are you really afraid of? Is it the pain of failure? Or is it the fear of what people will think if you fail? Because often, it's not the failure itself that we're afraid of, it's the judgment that comes with it. We're afraid that if we step into our calling and it doesn't work out, people will say, "I told you so." We're afraid of being embarrassed, of looking foolish. But here's the truth: people are going to judge you no matter what you do. Whether you fail or succeed, there will always be someone who has something negative to say. So why let that stop you? Here's the thing about fear: it's an illusion. It only has power over you if you believe in it. But the moment you challenge it, the moment you step into your calling despite the fear, you realize that the fear was never real to begin with. It was just a projection of your mind, a story you've been telling yourself. And the more you buy into that story, the more it controls you. But what if you flipped the script? What if, instead of fearing failure, you started seeing it as a necessary part of your journey? What if, instead of running from the possibility of failure, you embraced it? Because here's the truth: if you're not failing, you're not trying hard enough. If everything you do is safe, if everything you do is guaranteed to succeed, then you're playing way too small. You're staying in your comfort zone where nothing ever grows. And that's not where you're meant to be. But God didn't choose you to play small. He didn't choose you to live a life of mediocrity. You've been chosen for greatness, but that greatness comes with risk. It comes with the possibility of failure. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be willing to fail, to fall, to stumble, because that's how you learn. That's how you grow. And every time you fail, you get one step closer to your destiny. So, let me ask you again, what are you really afraid of? What's the worst that could happen if you stepped into your calling and fail? Would it really be the end of the world? Or would it be the beginning of a new chapter, a new lesson, a new opportunity to get even closer to your purpose? All right, we've covered a lot. We've talked about ignoring the signs, doubting yourself, and the fear of failure. Now we're going to bring it all together, because here's the final truth. The signs are everywhere, and it's time for you to answer the call. No more waiting, no more hesitating, no more second-guessing yourself. The signs have been there all along. You know it, you felt it, and now it's time to do something about it. You see, God doesn't just choose you and then leave you hanging. He sends you signs, guidance, little nudges in the right direction. But it's up to you to recognize them. It's up to you to pay attention, to open your eyes and your heart to what's right in front of you. And the more you ignore those signs, the more restless your soul becomes. Because deep down, you know you're meant for more. You know you've been chosen. But if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, you'll miss it. Here's the thing, there is no perfect moment. The perfect moment is now. Right now, as you're watching this, as you're feeling that stirring in your soul, this is your sign. This is your moment to say yes to your calling, to stop ignoring the signs and start taking action. Because the more you delay, the more you postpone your destiny. Now I know it's scary, I know it's uncomfortable, but nothing worth having comes without discomfort. Growth requires that you step into the unknown, that you take risks, that you trust in something greater than yourself. And that's what answering the call is all about. It's about trusting that you've been chosen for a reason, even if you don't understand that reason yet. It's about trusting that the signs are there for your benefit, to guide you, to lead you to your purpose. So, let me ask you this, what's stopping you from answering the call? What's the one thing that's holding you back from stepping into your destiny right now? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it the opinions of others? Whatever it is, it's time to let it go. Because you can't afford to keep ignoring the signs. You can't afford to keep playing small. The world needs you. Your purpose is bigger than your fears, bigger than your doubts. And the time to act is now. You think about it, what if you stopped ignoring the signs and started following them? What if you trusted that every challenge you've faced, every sign you've received, has been leading you to this moment? What if, instead of waiting for the perfect time, you decided that now is the time? Because the truth is, God has already chosen you. The signs are already there. The only question is, are you ready to answer the call? The choice is yours. The signs are everywhere. It's time to stop ignoring them. It's time to step into your purpose. It's time to answer the call.